Okay, so what we want to end up with is an HR diagram that has temperature on the x-axis and luminosity on the y-axis. So when I click on the data here, it's plotting these two columns. So right now we have luminosity and temperature. Excel by default will always put the column on the left on the x-axis and the column on the right on the y-axis. So what it's showing you here is this is temperature and this is luminosity. So we want to switch those two. Probably the easiest way to do it is to start over, and instead of picking this temperature column, we can pick this temperature column. So we want this temperature, and so I've highlighted that column. Then I'll hold down the control key or the Apple key, whichever. If you're on a Mac, it's the Apple key. If you're on a PC, it's the control key. And then highlight the luminosity column. So now I have this temperature and this luminosity highlighted. Now I'll insert the scatter plot. Okay. Now it still doesn't look like very much. All the data is clustered down around the bottom, but this is temperature, this is luminosity. So from here, what you want to do is make the luminosity into a log scale, and that will stretch the data out so you can start to see the pattern. So I clicked on the axis, right click, and I'm going to format the axis. Then I can choose logarithmic scale, and now you can see it shows the pattern of the data. The other thing I want to do is flip the temperature around. So I click that axis, and one of the options over here is values in reverse order. So I'll click that, and now it flips it around. And so this looks like, starting to look like the graph from the example. Okay, so I've got this set of data plotted. Temperature in reverse order, luminosity on a log scale. The next thing I want to do is add the data for the nearest stars. And so to do that, I right click again and go to select data, or if you go to chart design tab, you can select data. The bottom line is get to the select data option. And now we have what data gets plotted in this little toolbox. So right now it's this one. So sheet 1, C, and column C and column F are the X and Y values. We want to add a new series, so I click the plus, and its X values are going to be these temperatures. And its Y values are going to be these luminosities. Okay, so we have X values, Y values. Click OK. And now it's added in all of that data. Okay, and the graph looks pretty good. So we have the brightest stars are up here at the high luminosity end. The nearest stars are down here at the low luminosity end. And you can see there's a pretty small amount of overlap of the two groups. Okay, the other things you might want to do on the graph are label the axes, and you can do that by the chart design tab. Over on one end there's the chart, add chart element. You can add titles, change the chart title, make a legend where you label, oh, one is the brightest stars and one is the nearest stars. There's lots of different options that you can do that are mostly aesthetic. The bottom line is that the data looks like this, where you can see the pattern. This is a log scale. This is values in reverse